The Trump administration is considering granting asylum. Yes, asylum for Jewish people from the United Kingdom. Well, Simon Barrett of Revelation TV joins us now from London. Simon, what can you tell us?
Well, it's great to join you, Raj, and your wonderful viewers as well at CBN. Well, this is an extraordinary story, isn't it? That was first covered by the Daily Telegraph, in which they interviewed Robert Garson, who's a personal lawyer of President Trump. He's Jewish. He's from Manchester, England. He knows the British Jewish community very well. And in this interview that he gives in the Telegraph, he actually says that he doesn't believe that the Jewish community in the UK have a future because of the rise of Jew hatred that is threatening our precious Jewish community. So he's had personal meetings with the US State Department to see if British Jews, instead of making Aliyah to Israel, but would actually be able to be accepted into asylum into the United States. His thinking for this is that he doesn't see that British Jewry has a future with the pandemic of Jew hatred that is rife throughout this country, and how our Prime Minister Keir Starmer is actually fueling this rise of Jew hatred by empowering the Muslims in their fight against the Jewish community in Israel. So he believes that with all their intelligence, we speak the same language, they're professional, and that they could really flourish in the United States and would be an asset to America.
What an indictment. What a sad day. What a tragic day that this is even a discussion. I mean, if you would have said 15, 20 years ago that British Jewish folks would have, I mean, this sentence is just so preposterous that we're talking about we're not talking about Syria or maybe even some former Soviet bloc country. The UK. Simon, can you maybe go down just maybe a quick history talking about Manchester, things like that? Like what are some of the incidences that have prompted this response?
Well, what has prompted this response is that I don't even think this would even be imaginable, say, for example, over 2 years ago. It's only because of the horrors of October the 7th, the biggest mass terrorist attack in Israel's history, in which the Jewish people in Israel faced the biggest massacre since the Holocaust over 80 years ago. And since then, we've seen this pandemic of Jew hatred just spread over the entire globe. And sadly, in the UK, it has got to a very, very dangerous situation. It's not helped by the fact that the British government, the Labour government, is very sympathetic to the Islamist cause, knowing that they need Muslim votes in order to stay in power. And this is really endangering our Jewish community. And of course, back on the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, we had that horrific Islamist terrorist attack at the synagogue in Manchester. And I think for our Jewish community, that was a big wake up call, because now they no longer feel safe. They feel very concerned. For example, only a couple of weeks ago, the government announced it was not going to ban an Islamist hate preacher from the United States who celebrated and supported Hamas on October the 7th, coming to the UK to give a speaking tour. We also see, for example, there's a two-tier policing going on where the Islamists can chant death to Israel. They can call for the destruction of the state of Israel. They can make central London on a Saturday a no-go zone for Jews. And yet when Jewish people are protesting and defending Israel or raising the plight of the hostages, they come under incredible hostility, the same as those who are fighting for a free Iran and standing with the brave and courageous demonstrators that are demonstrating against the Islamic Republic of Iran, have had a crackdown by the police outside the Iranian embassy. So it seems that this government is positioning itself in terms of very hostile British foreign policy to Israel. And of course, 90% of the British Jewish community support Israel. They are Zionists, and they feel very, very threatened that our nation is no longer an ally of Israel, the only true democracy in the Middle East, and is supporting Israel's enemies, essentially supporting the enemies of the West. So they feel, what future do we have here? I mean, I've also heard from some of my Jewish friends, for example, in North London, that they are literally selling their houses en masse.
Wow. Wow. I mean, before I go on to the next question, like that's just how sad is that? Like
It's
how
tragic.
sa-
It is not
we need
only
to like
tragic.
feel that moment. We need to feel that moment that the Jewish folks in the UK are selling their houses in mass because they're scared. What are we doing, guys? Like, what are we doing? Wow, that is tragic. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I think we're also approaching International Holocaust Memorial Day, which is on the 27th of January next week. And one of the most poignant lessons of the Holocaust is that what starts with the Jewish people never
Mhm.
finishes with the Jewish people. The Jewish people are first, then the rest of us are second. So, therefore, if we care about our society, if we care about our nation, if we care about Christian civilization, then it's time that we stood up and be accountable and stand up for our Jewish friends during this unprecedented wave of Jew hatred, which endangers our democracy and our very liberty.
Well, Simon, last question, and you touched on something that I find interesting, and I'm seeing it happen more and more all over the world. You mentioned that your current government, which is left wing, let's just call it that, is basically partnering up with this Islamist ideology, which you couldn't get more polar opposite views on things. I mean, women's rights, anything. I mean, literally, I could go down the list. Literally, there's almost nothing in common except I guess the hatred of Israel, Western civilization. Um, why do you think this weird marriage is happening between the hard left and Islamist?
Well, it's actually got a name. It's called the Red Green Alliance. And this is where, for example, the hard left, who want to see the overthrow of our Judeo Christian heritage replaced and destroyed, the Islamists have the same agenda. So they're able to join forces because of their hatred for our heritage and our history that they want to replace. And then also the focal point that unites them is their hatred for Israel, and with it, the hatred of the Jewish people. And for example, we have to learn from history that the Marxists and the hard left align themselves with the Islamists who, in the Islamic Revolution, took power against the Shah. What happened to the left? What happened to the Marxists who helped the Ayatollah Khomeini take power? They were murdered by the regime. Same thing's going to happen. If, for example, the hard left want to take over with the Islamists, they'll forge an alliance until they get into power. As soon as they're in power, the Islamists will kill the left.
Hmm.
So it's time that the left woke up and realised that their bedfellows are not their friends, they're their enemies. And need to realise that Western civilization, British culture, European culture in the West is under serious threat. And this should be a wake up call for us all.
Very well said, Simon. Thank you for your time, my friend, and God bless.
Pleasure, Raj. God bless as well.